security, where Russia openly contests the European security order
Breaking news.
and uses force to pursue its objectives. The world will hold Russia and Belarus accountable for their actions. Russia as the aggressor, Belarus as the enabler. President Putin's decision to pursue his aggression against Ukraine is a terrible strategic mistake, for which Russia would pay a severe price for years to come. NATO allies and the European Union have already introduced significant sanctions, and many of our partners around the globe have joined us. We must stand ready to do more, even if it means we have to pay a price, because we are in this for the long haul. At the same time, the Russian people must know that Kremlin's war on Ukraine will not make Russia more secure. It will not make Russia more respected in the world. It will not lead to a better future for your children. In response to Russia's massive military build-up over the past months, we have already strengthened our deterrence and defense. Yesterday, NATO allies activated our defense plans. And as a result, we are deploying elements of the NATO response force on land, at sea and in the air, to further strengthen our posture and to respond quickly to any contingency. The United States, Canada and European allies have deployed thousands of more troops to the eastern part of the alliance. We have over 100 jets at high alert, operating in over 30 different locations, and over 120 ships from the high north to the Mediterranean, including 3 strike carrier groups. There must be no space for miscalculation or misunderstanding. We will do what it takes to protect and defend every ally and every inch of NATO territory.
NATO.
Leaders today also made clear that we must continue our support to
You guys
Ukraine.
have to help, my God.
The Kremlin is trying to make NATO and the EU provide less support to our partners. So our collective answer must be more support to countries like Georgia, Moldova and Bosnia and Herzegovina, to help them succeed with their democratic reforms and pursue the path that they have freely chosen. More than ever, this crisis demonstrates the importance of North America and Europe standing together in NATO. There is no security in Europe without a strong transatlantic bond. With that, I'm ready to take your questions.
Okay, we'll go to Al Jazeera.
James Bayes, Al Jazeera. How fearful are you about the possible fall of Kyiv? How long, in your estimation, can the government of Ukraine last? And if we move to a resistance insurgency type situation, what support can NATO then give?
So what we see now is a full-fledged invasion of Ukraine from multiple directions with air, sea and land capabilities. And this is actually in line with what our intelligence services predicted over a long period of time, because we saw the build-up around Ukraine with air, sea and land forces. We see, of course, that they're moving towards Kiev. We also see the rhetoric, the messages, which is strongly indicating that the aim is to change government, to change and remove the democratically elected government in Kiev. We are in close contact with the government of Ukraine. We are, of course, monitoring the situation very closely. It is still a fluid situation. What we have seen is that the Ukrainian forces are fighting bravely and are actually able to inflict damage on the invading Russian forces. But again, it is a very fluid and an evolving situation. NATO allies expressed at the summit today that they provide support to Ukraine. They are ready to continue to provide support to Ukraine, military support, financial support, humanitarian support. And then I think we all have to judge how things evolve. But the message from NATO leaders and also from Finland and Sweden, EU, is that we are there to support Ukraine. We have supported Ukraine for many years and we continue to provide support.
We'll go to the National Press Agency of Ukraine.
Dmitry Shkurko, National News Agency of Ukraine. Secretary General, in the current situation which we observe now in Ukraine, does NATO preserve its desire to assist Ukraine with defensive equipment? In particular, can we expect that NATO will provide Ukraine with so badly needed anti-aircraft equipment? Thank you so much.
So NATO allies continue to provide support to Ukraine, and it was actually at the meeting today at the NATO summit with EU and Finland and Sweden. Allies announced and also informed other allies about the type of weapons, the type of support, and some of that also includes air defense systems. So NATO allies have and continue to provide support,
What do you want?
military, but also different types of equipment
Just give me
to Ukraine.
the,
Then you all
few
realize that, of course, in this very evolving and difficult situation, it's hard to predict what will be the what are the possibilities in the future. But allies are providing support and are very committed to continue to provide support.
Okay, we'll go to NBC, just behind the cameras.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General. There's concern that NATO could get pulled into this conflict if Russia were to shut down electricity or other services in Ukraine that could spill over into Poland or Romania. Can you say explicitly whether a Russian cyber attack of that nature would trigger an Article 5 collective defense?
So we are sending a very clear message to Russia that we provide support to our partner Ukraine, and allies provide many different types of support. NATO help Ukraine also with their cyber defenses. But then for NATO allies, we provide the absolute security guarantees under the Washington Treaty, Article 5. An attack on one will be regarded as an attack on all. And we are clear on this distinction because it is important to make sure that we don't have an even bigger crisis in Europe, where Russia challenge or is threatening or attacking any NATO allied country. And that's the reason why we so clearly send a message that we are there to protect all allies and every inch of NATO territory. When it comes to cyber attacks and the risk for incidents and accidents, for instance in the Black Sea, we are pursuing mechanisms of deconfliction to prevent that from happening. We have, as NATO allies, especially the United States, have done that, for instance, in Syria over a long period of time. And we, of course, are very focused. I spoke with Sarkar, the NATO Supreme Commander, on that issue recently. And he is very focused on the need to deconflict, to make sure that we don't have incidents and accidents that can spiral and get out of control and create a very dangerous situation. On cyber, well, we have stated that cyber attacks can trigger Article 5, but we have never gone into the a position where we give a potential adversary the privilege of defining exactly when we trigger Article 5. We are focused on strengthening our cyber defenses. We are very much aware of that that's a risk, and therefore we are stepping up both the protection of our cyber networks, but also providing support to Ukraine, and we are very focused on the need for deconfliction.
Okay, we'll go to NPR.